Hello, hello, welcome back. You know what we don't do? We don't usually introduce ourselves, and I thought we could do that this time. I'm Angelique
And I'm Donnell.
Stidham,
I hate
and
saying my name.
welcome everyone. LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook. We kind of changed things up over on Facebook so that we could see your comments. So I did try to repost the link. Hopefully, everybody catches up there. Hello, Benita. Thank you so much for joining us. I can see LinkedIn comments coming in now, so that's good.
Good, good, good.
All right. So we're going to continue our conversation from Tuesday, which is about you and your spouse, you and your partner. This is really for couples or family even, could be even just be family. Are you on the same road to financial freedom? And we kind of discussed like are you even in the same boat going in the same direction?
Right.
And I tonight we want to kind of take this approach this from a different angle, right?
Yep. So, the thought process was we'll spend today kind of recapping what we talked about on Tuesday. And then in addition, I kind of ended it with a small little twist. I don't know if you want to call it a plot twist or whatever, but I want to just kind of speak to the other side of that equation, which kind of involved the father-in-law. But again, I'll recap kind of what specifically happened. So yeah, just kind of take a little bit of more of an angle and kind of focus a little bit more on life insurance versus just income. So that's kind of the thought process.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about that this was part of the part of what's so attractive about a solution like this is that it's not this or that.
Right.
So what if you think about it, even like velocity banking, when you're using it and you have a strategy, you're actually getting two things for one. When you're putting your, like as an example, when you're putting your money onto your debt tool, you're actually also satisfying the payment, right?
Right.
So you're not
Right.
having to make an additional payment every month, and that is almost like you're reducing your the amount of payments that you have to make, right? So you're gaining in that sense. This is similar to that where you are making the same payment most people would be investing using to invest, but
Right.
you're also getting, right? So you're not having to make an extra payment. I think the most important part of like why the heck would we get out here and talk about this, and why does it even matter to us to get out here and talk about this? And I think it's the strategy part.
And not only that, for me, I really do feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So it's a bit more purposeful as well. But you're right. The conversation started with how do you have this conversation with your spouse? What are those steps that you take in order to bring them in? And I have this conversation so much that I kind of understand it from both perspectives. I just think we make this way more complicated than it needs to be. It really all starts with what we both can agree on, and that is our goals. At least I hope that we can agree on. Like that's step one. Are we in this boat together, focused in the same direction? Now we can discuss how we get there. We can discuss what vehicles we use to get us there. But ultimately, security, financial freedom, legacy, generational wealth, like all of these things are logical in nature. So I would hope that we're all on the same page. It's just about how we get there, right?
I like that you said if we agree on the vehicles that we use to get there. And I think that's key because we could agree on the vehicles all we want, but if we don't get there, what was the point?
Right.
Right? We had a peaceful marriage all the way up until we realized we messed up and we did not have a good plan. And now we're having to downsize and have a lifestyle, some lifestyle changes that are super uncomfortable. I think you and I, regardless of what we agreed on in the past, we both agree that that would suck in that situation, right? That would
Right.
not be what we were hoping it would be after all of that. So that's why I really appreciate what it is that we're going to talk about tonight. But we're also going to start with a game. It's short, but I got a new game and I'm really excited to share it. Let's play it. You guys ready to play? Oh, and Gabe, hold on real quick.
Hmm.
Gabe has a question or a statement, comment in the chat. He says, I've really been looking deeper into my life insurance policy and options because of what you both have shared. Good. That's the goal. Yes.
Yeah.
Look at your stuff and understand what it is that you have, because that's the concept of getting self directed. You're taking control. You understand what it is that's out there, what it is that's available to you, what your options are. And now you can make an educated decision that'll make a difference.
And let's start here, though. Just in the sentence alone, I was looking at my life insurance policy. I don't want people to beat themselves up. I am confident you got what you asked for. You went to a life insurance company and bought life insurance. There's
Right.
nothing wrong with that. If you would have gone to that life insurance company and said, "Hey, I'm looking for a vehicle that can help me grow tax-free income," that's a different statement. But most of us don't go to State Farm asking for that. Matter of
Yeah.
fact, that's not even their business model, so nor would we. So as you're looking at your policy and you realize, you know what, this is not designed properly. There's not cash value building. This is not an opportunity for me to be able to leverage to do other things. Also, remember that's probably not why you originally got it. But the
Right.
key is now you know something different. Now we know that there's other vehicles out there that you can do. Like if I'm going to spend $150 a month on this life insurance policy, would it make more sense to spend $300 a month on a vehicle that is actually producing me income that I can actually leverage, that I can actually use to be able to do something different? So I think it's now that you know better, now let's do better.
Yeah, totally. Welcome, Yvette. Okay, we're gonna start the game, and I think that's a good segue because where your priorities are would alter how you organize your questions when you're going in to make a decision, right?
Right.
And so that's what this game is about. Let's get into it.
And you know I can't swim, right?
Oh my gosh! Look, I put you in a life preserver, so you're good.
You
Do you
better.
feel safe?
Yes, I almost cursed.
You can win a boat. If for those who are new, you participate in the chat, have a chance to win the boat, and we will explain what that story is if we have some time, or I will post about it. So let's get started. Okay, ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Which of the following is the most important factor when retirement planning for retirement?
Since we were speaking in terms of how to get your spouse on board, I'm curious if this is you alone or you with your partner. So I'm gonna make an assumption that it's you with your partner. What's the most important? I'm gonna say alignment, but I'm confident it's probably not one of the answers. But I would
Okay,
think we
well,
would start there.
it's like a 7 second delay to get the comments in. So, okay, well, we're gonna keep going, okay? Were these your answers?
Passive income, absolutely. And I think a lot of people aren't really clear as to what passive income actually means because I think some confuse some active income with passive. Like passive is I sleep well at night and money continues to be made.
Right.
Some people call it mailbox money. It's there's no action involved, but healthcare is a huge one, man. And I'd say healthcare may even need to be higher.
I can barely hear you. Can you guys hear? Well, this game is we do have a multiple choice version of the game,
Hmm.
Yvette. But this game is just guessing like Family Feud, like survey says type of thing. What are the top answers? Can you turn your gain up just a little bit? Can everybody hear Donnell? Fine. I just want to make sure they can hear you pretty good. Or I guess I could turn down maybe.
Gain has been upped.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's just me then. All right, let's go move on to the next. So passive income, and the reason why I said passive income is because some people say retirement income, and that could mean and be interpreted in a lot of different ways to include Social Security, which may or may not be there for some people, right? Like
Right.
right now, I get it, but can we plan on that? We don't know.
Right.
So why plan on something that's going to be there? So passive income, right? You don't have to trade your time for money at all. It is mailbox money. It is coming regardless of what you do, regardless of the conditions of the world or whatever else. It is just coming to you. So true passive income is that way. Healthcare,
Healthcare is huge. Healthcare is game changer. I think healthcare is a part of the reason why everyone ends up poor, because all it takes is one significant medical bill to completely wipe out your retirement,
Right.
and that's scary.
Right. And so if you don't have enough income, retirement income coming in, meaning it's not coming from rental properties, it's not coming from something that you have to manage, and you can't cover your health care because you don't know what it's going to be. There, it's kind of hard to judge what you're going to need, but also your expenses. Okay, we got sounds. All right, next one. All right, hold on. All right. Common financial mistakes couples make when planning for elder years,
And I
for
think
the
this
golden years.
is that elder a dig at me, just so I'm clear. Were you thinking about
No,
me when you said elder?
you are the elder in our home.
Common financial mistakes couples make when planning for their latter years, their elder
Yes.
years. Okay. Um, Starting too late, not having enough,
Living in the now,
not accounting for the taxes.
thinking that, oh, she said, Benita said, thinking that you're on the same page.
Oh boy.
Woo,
Oh
that's a
boy.
hell of an assumption, right? Not saving enough. Okay, so the answers are coming in.
Underestimating expenses, not knowing their fees, and assuming supplements.
I like Benita's answer though too. It could have been in there.
No
Living
doubt.
for the present. Yeah. The underestimating expenses I think is huge because again, we just were talking about healthcare. We we have no idea, and assuming that there's going to be some sort of supplemental thing involved. Do you know that some people have three levels of insurance because they have a part A and a part B, and
Right.
this doesn't cover dental, so this doesn't cover vision, and they have to start adding it up like Legos or Tinker, you know, Lincoln blocks or whatever you want to say. It's a Duplo insurance system when you're older. And so, but the other part is not knowing their fees. Once they get to that part with their financial advisor, right, Donnell?
Well, this is really really big because just in traditional retirement accounts alone, we've been one conditioned to believe that tax deferring our retirement is the right thing to do. So we've been putting this money away from our employer for all this time and not paying any fees on any, I mean, any taxes on any of that money. And then we get into retirement and not really realize that what, three quarters in some cases, if not half of your retirement has been eaten up by the fees over that amount of time that's been compounding. And no one sits you down and says, "Hey, these are all of the fees associated with your retirement account. And here's what you should be looking for, and here's how to avoid." No one has that discussion. So, I
That's
mean, I think
right.
that's huge. Yeah.
Gabe says that you look uncomfortable in the water.
Hey, I told you I can't swim.
You fish. If we have time, I'm going to tell you the story about this time that I almost died trying to save Donnell from dying in the ocean.
And here's the cool part, though. I'm not afraid of water, though. Like we can
You
jump
sure
in,
aren't, but I'm afraid I won't be able to save you. Okay,
and
let's
that's
move on to
just
the
it.
next. Let's
Everybody
move on
needs
to
to
the
be
next
aware.
next question. All right. Which of the following is the biggest concern for couples in retirement? Healthcare costs that they'll outlive their savings, inflation, or the taxes that they'll pay. To your last
I
point.
think the answer is yes. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. What's the biggest concern though? The
Yes,
biggest one.
because healthcare costs huge. It only takes one ambulance ride, right? Outliving your savings. Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's the 70-year-old lady delivering pizzas. Inflation, okay, maybe inflation can go at the bottom.
Yeah.
But still, if you for my cash people, my people whose retirement savings is sitting in someone's savings account, inflation right now is deflating your savings, meaning
Right.
it could absolutely kill your ability to be able to do what it is you want to do. And in taxes, not accounting for taxes can cause you to outlive your savings. So I mean, I
And
still say yes to all four of those.
and
What
all of the tax deferred people means they would
That's
have
it.
gotten out cheaper paying taxes up front than what they're probably going to pay in 20 or 30 more years, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Okay, here's the answer.
Yeah,
It's
it only
healthcare
takes one.
costs.
It only takes one. What's social media saying? Just so you know, I can't see any of the comments. I would love to assist or participate, but I can't.
Okay, they're saying that you look uncomfortable in the water.
Y'all gonna quit messing with me? I'm for real.
Outlive savings. They're saying, Benita says, don't tell me I will be delivering pizzas at 70. I don't think anybody could have told that lady that she'd be doing that, right?
I'm gonna go
Poor
here
health
again.
can drain your savings so quickly. Man. And I think that's the reason why, because of healthcare costs can be so, especially here in America, so outrageous that you're absolutely right. You have what's budgeted for a year, and at one doctor's appointment can wipe that out.
There's a lot that we've kind of worked on and personal development and gotten better with understanding finances and how money works. I think one of the ones that I really want to spend some time on, like my next level of education, is healthcare. Because I believe there are options out there, but I don't understand what any of them are, and that is a concern of mine. Is healthcare costs? We may be okay income wise, but again, it only takes one severe, significant medical incident, and it can
Just
wipe
one.
everything out. It only takes
Yeah,
one.
just one.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part. We just have no idea at all. And but I think that this I wanted to share this video because we had put this out here on social media for like a while back on
Mhm.
your TikTok, and I just wanted to share it because I think this right here is the reason why we are specifically talking about couples, because there are countless stories like this, but you
Right.
never know. You can only, if you fail to plan, you've planned to fail, right? They planned and they still failed. Oh, no, no, no. Hold on. Oh, I thought I almost did the wrong thing. Hold on, guys.
Don't hit the red
I
X.
got, and I have to see fast too. Okay, here we go. All right, here we are.
Right.
Okay, so here it is. Let me play it. You guys let me know if it comes through.
It's hard to imagine, even at this point in my life, being retired. I just don't see it. Living the American dream of having your house and being able to retire. Nobody has a pension anymore. It wasn't like it was in the 60s or 70s where people worked for, good companies and had a pension plan.
I think that's a harsh reality for a lot of people. I do think that we'll be working until we'll definitely be working until our probably mid-70s. If I had to make a, unless we can make up some big ground soon.
Well, it's the return of the pension. Take back that control, and let me help you.
Had to finish that out. Couldn't
Scary, man.
couldn't couldn't let it just ride like that. Well, anywho, that's the whole point of sharing that is there are so many people who have faced that.
Come back.
Just clicking on stuff like just okay. He said the video's playing. Their story, their particular story, was in a documentary, and they had sizable retirement accounts, both of them being and degreed professionals. So they paid off their student loans and saved for retirement. They bought their house and they thought that their house, like this is how it's supposed to go. You pay off your house so you don't have a house payment anymore, and you invest in retirement accounts so that you can have enough income when you do go to retire. And then he started getting sick and he couldn't work as long as he wanted to. But the 2008 housing crash was something he could not control. And therefore, they lost a bunch of equity in their home. They were upside down in their loan. They weren't able to pay off their home anymore. So now, in addition to that, just health just what we were just talking about, they had a lot of that happen too. So they had to leverage anything that they could to be able to cover those expenses. And because of the stock market crash, now they've experienced two of them, right? Two significant crashes. And now they're at retirement age where they're not only aging out of their careers, right? They just can't work. One of them can't work anymore. And the other one is trying so hard, but you saw those figures. How is she ever going to save enough money if she's also the bringing in the only income, right? And he's just trying to just stay alive. That's his goal at this point, and there's no leverage there. It's the saddest thing to see this happen, but it's because essentially these markets are set up like a casino, and everyone around who's working at the casino is just kind of like, well, that's kind of how it goes around here, right? You can't be mad that you lose if you put in and you're playing a game where you know you could just, for whatever the reason is, lose and you have no control over that.
And I think that's the piece for me is the control part. I think from their perspective, they did everything right. And I don't think there's anyone that can argue that they didn't do what they were supposed to do. The problem is they have very little control as to what the market can be. And so one of the things that kind of set us on this path that we're on is the issue around security, realizing that we have very little security when it comes to traditional retirement planning. And there's not a financial advisor out here that can sit you down and help you feel secure. What they can do is they can push products. Some of those products are good, some of those products are bad. But my concern is security. So where do you get security from? Well, it's in vehicles that, regardless of who's president, where inflation is, whether Elon Musk buys Twitter or not, can your retirement vehicle survive all of that? And so, and it's getting it removed out of the market, right?
Say that again though, because regardless of who's president, repeat all of that again, because none of those things matter when it comes to I am having a great retirement because of something a president did, right?
Right. And and there are things that again are still outside of your control, but is your retirement in a secure place where, regardless of who's president or what's happening in the news cycle, is your nest egg secure? And most people will say, well, mine is in my savings account, so that's secure. But is it though? Because it's not growing, because inflation is eating it. Like, where is your nest egg sitting, and is it sitting in a secure place is the question, right?
Yeah. Okay. Here's our moment to segue, because those are beliefs. People do these things because they're beliefs. The couple we just shared, they're in the position that they're in right now because they believed and they were told to believe this.
Conditioning.
Conditioning, right?
Damn near grooming.
Right. And it's almost like exactly, because then at the end, when they realized that they actually were taken advantage of, and this wasn't okay, and this doesn't feel good, and now that they're dealing with trauma that everyone else is saying you did to yourself. You did this to yourself because this is what you did. Look at all of the risk that you had, and well, it just didn't. The cards didn't work out for you. They cannot recover from this time period in their lifetime. There's not enough space for them to recover from having invested in their 401k, mutual funds, all of even the real estate market. You cannot control what happens there. So I think just in talking about the conditioning and talking about people who are very confident in these strategies because they've been utilizing them, they've been talking about them, this is really all that they know.
Well, and what I would ask people to do is take a step back and ask the question, who benefits? So when you're looking at your mortgage, when you're looking at savings, when you're looking at these retirement vehicles, IRAs, 401ks, whatever it might be, when you're looking at real estate, if things aren't moving in the direction that you think they should be, ask yourself who's benefiting in the system not being different. So like your company's 401k, the true reason why you're deferring your taxes is because it's a tax benefit to not just you, but also the company that you work for. But in essence, what you're doing is you're simply writing a check for the future. And what you're saying is, hey, government, in the future, regardless of what the tax rate is, matter of fact, whatever the tax rate is you want it to be, please charge me that. Please attach whatever that tax rate is in the far future to my retirement savings. Versus what your company should be saying is, hey, here's what we should do. We should make sure you pay your whatever the tax rate is today, pay it right now. And therefore, any growth that you get on your retirement is now growing tax free. So, regardless of what the tax rate is in the future, you don't have to worry about it. That is how our companies should be structuring things. But why don't they? Like, who benefits from them not doing that? Right?
Because they benefit, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
they
exactly it.
benefit, and that's it was all this was all designed. I wanted to skip in to start talking about the history of the IRA and why the 401k was even created in the first place, because I think it's important to understand why these systems are in place. But we wanted to be able to finish this conversation first for couples. So next week is going to be hard for some people. Next week, the things that we have to share, and next week, the things that we're going to show you, it's going to be really hard to swallow for some people. And we don't mean to hurt feelings. It's not, we aren't out here calling people's babies ugly. That's not what we're here to do. We're just here to share the truth. And I think the mindset and who you are getting your information from, you have to also understand, are they programmed to say these things? Do they belong almost like a religion to some of these systems that are put in place because it serves people who they serve too. So if the HR department is really preaching this stuff and somebody is working in HR and they're telling you, you got to put money in the 401k, do you think they really care about the 401k? They care about their job and they serve somebody who believes this is what you're supposed to do, right? And it's all a part of a system. So we're going to peel that back next week. But for right now, talking about beliefs, Donnell, it was kind of the
Yep.
tail end of that story was really about somebody who was super subscribed to these ideas and systems, and you just sharing with him some information. How long did it take? How long was that call?
Well, let me reset the stage. So
Okay.
because I know there's a lot of people, there's probably new people who don't know the original example either. So let me just kind of set the stage a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
So I had a conversation with the client, and I think yesterday I got tired of saying client and father-in-law and wife. So his client's name is Mike, and his father-in-law's name is Richard. It's just very simple. But I was having a conversation with the client by the name of Mike, 33 years old, and he was very interested in getting a secure compound interest account because he saw that, you know what, this 401k that I'm currently invested in, based off the last few years, isn't doing what he hoped it would do. And based off the security as to which he's learned secure compound interest provides, um, he wanted to kind of understand more what MPI could or couldn't do. And so I sat down with him, had a great discussion, and I think he was very much on board. Coming out of that discussion, he's very much on board with receiving or having an MPI plan. But the problem is, how do you communicate this to his wife? Like, what does that conversation look like? And his whole demeanor kind of just shifted in our discussion because he was very, very concerned about how to send this message or make sure his wife is on board with following this path. And what I told him was, this is not him against her, or it's not my job to not to shower him with all of this information and him carry that information to her.
Right.
It's kind of my job to kind of partner with both of them. So the same hour I spent with him, she deserves that same hour. She deserves the same time to be able to get her questions answered, get her concerns answered before you guys move down a path to what we're calling financial freedom.
Right.
And he kind of stepped back and said, well, his true concern wasn't necessarily just his wife. It was the fact that their current financial advisor, the current place that they're getting all of their financial education from, is her father, which is his father-in-law, a gentleman by the name of Richard. And so the concern was, not only do I have to convince my wife, I also have to convince my father-in-law, who is my financial advisor, that, hey, these vehicles that you currently have us in won't get us to retirement. We need to do something different. So how do you have that discussion? And what I ultimately stated was, let's invite them. Let's invite them all to the same conversation, and we can have that discussion together. Because again, this is not a us against them trying to convince them. It's, I think we're all aligned and on the same page with the goal is not running out of money in retirement. The goal is making sure we have enough in retirement when we get there. We
Right.
all have similar, if not the same goals. It's just that we're talking about different vehicles. So
Right.
let's hash out or talk through how one vehicle works better than another. So that's kind of how this kind of all started. So what I'll do is I'll jump into the calculator and just show you quickly what we did for him. And what was interesting was as I was breaking things down for his wife around what that income looks like, what that security looks like, what that death benefit looks like, out of nowhere I heard this voice go, "But what about the fees?" And turns out her father was there, and unbeknownst to
He'd
me,
been
her father was there.
listening.
He had been listening the whole time. He was taking notes even,
Yeah.
and
He was
he
going to
had kind
have
of
his
blurted
baby
out.
girls back. He
Right. He
came.
had
Yeah,
blurted
he
out, "What
came.
about the fees?" So,
Yeah. You're
and that
damn
kind
right.
of
What about those fees?
and that kind of shifted that discussion from not just talking about them and their goals, but it also shifted to him and his goals as well. So,
Okay, well, let's for just a second though, let's step
yes,
back because this husband is sitting with you and he's already
Mike.
feeling vulnerable. Mike, sitting with you. And I like to know who they are though, because, okay, so he's sitting with you completely open. He
Yep.
is open to new ideas. He is going, what we're doing is not going to get us there, but I don't know how to tell them that,
Right.
right?
But let's also be clear. This didn't happen overnight for him. He had been watching TikToks and he had read the book. He
In the
had been
bathroom,
watching the
like,
videos. So he's
did he
been,
not tell them at all that he was even consuming this stuff, right?
well,
That's my point.
let me put myself in his position. Let's say I came up to you and I went, "I've been watching this guy on TikTok." And like, does that go over well? Like, who cares
Yeah.
about this guy you've been watching on TikTok? We're supposed to now change our whole financial future because you've been watching this guy on TikTok. Like,
He'd
it's
be
hard.
like, I
It's
thought
hard.
my daughter made a good choice in marrying you, but
Right.
as
It's
you get
hard.
older, son, it's not looking so good.
Right.
Well, then the other part was that you said it's not me, us against them, but the way he aren't came with you, like you need to put this on, you need to know this, you need
Need
to
to be
know this. Like
prepared.
here's
Right.
here's your armor, here's your helmet. Like we're going in together. It's me and you. I'm so glad I have a partner in this situation. But what I appreciate is that while a lot of people feel that way, right? They feel like they have to go and this is going to be a confrontation. How do I get prepared for this? And what if they say this and what if they say that? And do I know enough to be able to confidently tell them that this is a solution?
Right.
And for them to feel like I have to sell them on first the fact that I could even that I could know more than they do when they feel so confident because this is their world.
Right.
There's a lot of belief, a lot of time invested into this type of information for me to come out the gate and be like, there's something better. I don't feel like that's the right approach here, and I don't know how to do that. How many people are in families like that, right? They want to be the cycle breaker. They want to be the one who makes the difference and who says, you know what, what we're doing is not serving us. We have to change, and they have to be the ones to like get out there first and say that. That's scary. That is a level of bravery that I appreciate Mike had
And
on that
you
day.
saying that reminds me of that 15-year-old, because that's what that 15-year-old was saying. So not to
Yeah.
digress or a rabbit hole, but you're absolutely right. It's someone being brave enough to go, you know what? There might be a better way. I just am unsure as to how that have that discussion. So
Yeah. So now you're talking to the dad was like lurking in the back and he was going to have his daughter's back. Like, okay, well, let's hear this little thing, Mike, that you, little dilly dally information, you TikTok financial strategy. Okay, let's listen to it. And while that sounds hilarious,
it's the truth.
he also was like, well, hold up a second. Well, wait, well, what about this? And you just, right? Just kept every single thing that he said, you had a solution for that he had not heard about before.
Well, that's kind of my job, right? I mean, his biggest concern was fees inside of life insurance based products. And he's right. The life insurance industry is not the most efficient when it comes to eliminating fees inside of inside of their products. Why? Because those fees are how life insurance companies get paid. So he's right about his concern. It's just that he's never been introduced to a product like this. What he's referencing is the traditional life insurance that we're all buying from Allstate, Prudential, Transamerica or wherever that Primerica or wherever that might be. So he's
Right.
absolutely right in his concern. So my job is to kind of break down and dig into the details of those concerns and kind of share with him why this is different. And in addition to that, we can't forget the fees inside of the traditional retirement accounts that he's offering to his children. So if we're
Yeah.
going to talk about fees, we have to talk about the fees.
Right. And
And
that's
it's
that's where you left off on Tuesday. And but now I feel like the important piece out of this was that not only did you say, okay, let's go talk about the fees, but let's grab your fees too
that's right.
while we go talk about them. And then pretty much while you and Mike were on one side of the table together, right? And they were on the other side. What you did was you said, come on, Mike, we're going to go sit on their side of the table. And now let's look at it all together. That's the part that I think is so dope. So you wanted me to switch over? You could show them?
Yeah, let's do it. Jump in the calculator.
Okay, you need a full screen or a half screen?
Half is fine.
Oh, half for the calculator. Okay, there you go.
Perfect. So just to kind of recap what we had done with him. Again, 33 years old, and as it relates to his wife, she had some specific concerns. So once I addressed her concerns, I threw a concern back at her that she didn't mention. And it was, I asked her, aren't you interested in retiring early? She's 30 years old. So, like, you're telling me your goal is to wait till 65 before you can receive retirement income. Like, wouldn't retiring early be a goal of yours? And she said, absolutely. Well, and I'll ask anyone who's listening today, name one traditional retirement vehicle that allows you to retire early. Just one.
There's not
Without,
one.
it does
That's
not
the
exist. That
that's
is
the
not a
point.
thing. That is not
Right.
a thing. Whereas here, notice 30, let me get the pen right.
Well, it's not a thing because the whole point of it being called a retirement plan is because there's an age associated with it.
Absolutely. And so 33 years old, who wants to wait till 65 to start touching their money? And so what I did was I built this around a year before he's even eligible to be retired, putting away $1,000 a month, which is what they felt was fairly comfortable for them because it was kind of them not contributing some of more into their emergency fund and using this as their emergency fund, so they felt pretty comfortable of putting away that $1,000 a month, both he and his wife, which equated to about 122,000 in tax-free income for life, and that's at age 58. Now, obviously, they'll continue contributing beyond that, but to be able to have a six-figure income tax-free at age 58, when every other retirement vehicle you're looking at won't even allow that, was pretty powerful. And
Right.
the other piece around that is over that, what is that, 33 to 58 is what, 25 years? Over that 25-year period, he would have contributed only 300,000. And I say only, that's relative, and I understand that. But he would have contributed 300,000 over that 25-year period, but amassed an asset, a liquid asset of about 1.1 million. And what I mean by that is this is all available to him. This is a suggestion. What's being suggested here is you could take 122 in tax-free income for the rest of your life, but if you needed a $500,000 to go build your dream home or $250,000 to go put into some type of income-producing asset, you have that available to you. And my question to him was, show me the 401k that would allow you to do that at age 58.
At age 58.
It just doesn't exist, right?
Right.
And so again, father jumped into the mix and he wanted to understand fees. And so I broke down, hey, some of the fees between compared to a properly structured life insurance product compared to traditional retirement plans like 401ks. And I've got the visual behind me. I won't necessarily go into it, but the moral of the story there is traditional retirement accounts are designed with compounding fees, meaning as you put money into your retirement starts to get bigger. It may have started at 1% when you had nothing in it. 1% of zero is zero. Who cares? 1% of a dollar, not that big of a deal. But as your retirement starts to build and you build 150, 250,000, $500,000, $1 million, it's 1% of the total, which means that fee is starting to get astronomical. And as you move into retirement, yeah, the fee might be cut in half, but a half of a percent of a fee for a $1.1 million asset is significant.
Yeah.
And what role does your financial advisor play at that point?
Hello.
None.
Well, hold on, hold on. They don't play a role after the fact, but they got paid all the way up and through.
Absolutely. And versus a properly structured life insurance product, the fees, yes, are higher at the start,
Right.
but it's a decreasing fee to the point where when it's time for you to start, and actually, I keep saying by the time you start taking money out in retirement, but it's not even that. After 15 years, those fees go to $60 a year for life. And
Yep.
that's for life. So which one is better? But I get it. If this was not a properly designed life insurance product, it would be riddled with fees. And he does like his argument is valid. It's just not necessarily valid for this product, I think is the key. And so
Yeah.
once we kind of broke that down, you can see his shoulders drop because I think he realized, you know what? This is a vehicle that's worth taking a look at. And he said, hey, let me be transparent with you. I'm 53 years old. My wife isn't in the greatest of health, and and as a financial advisor himself, he's comfortable and prepared for what 65, 67, 68 looks like.
Which he is not yet.
Right, he's 53. His concern is, but what happens if for whatever reason I can't make it to that retirement date?
Right.
How is my family taken care of if I don't make it to that retirement date? And so now what we're talking about is that security around having some type of life insurance in place if something were to happen, or even if some type of chronic or terminal illness, maybe you didn't die, but there was some type of terminal or chronic illness that occurred and wouldn't
Messed
allow
up
you
his
to hit that
plan.
retirement age. Again, it
Right.
messes up the plan. So his concern was, you know what? I don't have a vehicle that I can touch prior to retirement, nor do I have a vehicle that, you know what, if I don't hit that date that I am planning for, which is where that income will be, man, what happens? And so he asked, what would it look like if we started a policy for him? And so that's kind of the main point of today is kind of looking at what this would look like for an older gentleman.
Yeah.
And again, as I mentioned, he's 53.
So when you start later, right? There are different kind of the machine it looks a little different.
Right. And here's what I asked him. I asked him, what's his goal? Again, as I start with all clients, it isn't about a number for me. It's about what's your goal. And he was very specific. He said, if I could have $50,000 in tax-free income on top of whatever I'm doing, and that gave me a death benefit large enough to where if I pass tomorrow, my family's taken care of, meaning my wife who, can't make the income that I make, I'd be happy. So I took that to heart. $50,000, and he wanted some type of death benefit that would be able to take care of his family. Done deal. And what I also asked him was, given his age, given our age, because I put myself in the boat with him, um, given our age, does he want to jumpstart the compounding inside this vehicle? And he said, well, I've got an emergency fund with about $80,000 in it. And I said, okay,
Where?
that was my next question. Where is this emergency fund? Oh, it's sitting in savings. He's a financial advisor. I would think at least he would know that $80,000 sitting in savings is not a good thing, but that's neither here nor there. I said, okay, how about we take $50,000 out of that emergency savings sitting in savings and we put it in a new emergency fund? Because this is also designed to be an emergency fund as well, meaning
Yep.
when you need the funds, it's there. So what I did was I put in that $50,000 lump sum.
Yep.
Yep. And I kept it at the same monthly contributions as his son-in-law. And so in doing so, at age 53, contributing till age 68, putting that emergency fund in this vehicle and looking at about $1,000 a month, gave him about $54,000 by age 68. And
Wait,
just so we're
that's
clear, 68 is not the retirement age that he was looking at. He was looking at 72.
hold on 1 second though.
Yes.
Well, not only have you reduced the age, I just want to make sure that because when you said this amount of money gives him this amount of money, it's per year, every year, tax free for the rest of his life. It is
It's
not until it runs
$54,000
out.
tax free for the rest of his life. And he acknowledged what I appreciate about it. You could just tell he gets it. I said, but what would this same dollar amount look like inside of one of the vehicles that he offers, Roth IRA, you name it, and he acknowledged that in the same vehicles that he offered, that $22,000 is not significant. It's not enough. It's not enough. And in addition, so we got the $50,000 that he was looking for, but this was the piece that he said it's a done deal. Day one, when he puts in his first $1,000, if something were to happen to him on day two, there's a death benefit payout of $666,000 to his beneficiaries. So he on day one, he has a life insurance policy worth $666,000. And if he, so every year that death benefit increases. So if he hits age 68 and something happens to him, that death benefit looks more like 1.5 million. And this was the piece that he went, yeah, we need to do this. And mainly because, as I mentioned, he has an emergency fund. Let's talk about that a little bit. And I'm going to back this number, back his age down a little bit. Let's say he's been contributing this thing for 2 years. He's 55. Well, let's call it 58. He's 58 now. That's, yeah, 5 years. I said 3. I mean 5 years. So he's been contributing for 5 years. He doesn't have a whole lot of cash value built up, but he has some, meaning he's been contributing $1,000 for 5 years, a $50,000 lump sum. He has cash value of about $112,000. And yeah, this $10,900 isn't a lot, but if something were to happen to him at this point right here, there's still a death benefit payout of 1.2 million. So even before he hit retirement age, before he's able to access his retirement without being penalized, there's still a death benefit available to him that would be able to take care of his family. And I think that was the piece that kind of sent it home for him.
But the other piece, though, is him knowing that because he's heavily invested in what his traditional plan was, meant that if anything were to have happened to him, when they needed to go liquidate those assets, they were going to have to liquidate at the rate of the current conditions of the market,
Right.
not at the highest point, not what it looks like it might be worth, right? At some point, they would have to liquidate right then and there. So if the market's crashing, if it's a bad day, if it's a bad week, and they don't know how else to cover the expenses, take care of their mom, right?
Right.
They would have to do that, and they would just have to take the hit. And at that point is when the expiration date for those resources would also begin too, because you're just living until you run out of funds. You don't have a machine producing and continuing to compound. This is by far has to be the answer, and we have to stop. We have to tell everybody. So I get that we don't have a full room right now. This is not a fun subject. I understand why when I post about this, people go like, I would rather watch a fun live stream. This, it's not fun being broke. You know what else isn't fun? Having to realize that you should have taken all of the time that you were entertaining in YOLO throughout all of the years of your life, and you can't go back. You cannot go back. And by the time you go, I guess I should get really serious about that thing Donnell was talking about. 10 years from now, the expense of doing this is different as well. The machine looks different. And so whoever's here, whoever's watching YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, all of you who have attended and are watching the replay, it matters to us, even if it was just one. Even
And here's the piece
if
I
there's
want to
only
make
one.
sure is clear as well, because I run into when I start talking with clients who are around my age, the conversation usually starts like they're embarrassed, like they feel bad about starting this conversation with me, as though, and it usually starts like this: man, I know I should have started years ago, or I know I should be in a place different than what I am right now, but,
Right.
and I usually pause, I usually stop them, and I let them know that my MPI plan started when I was 46 turning 47. So by their standards, that means I started late. And I don't think I did.
Well,
I started when I started, and I knew what I didn't
you
know what I
started when
didn't
you
know.
started. That's
I
right.
started when I started, and I didn't know what I didn't know. But now that I know something different, that's when I got it moving. And I think it's no different for those who feel like, you know what, am I in the place that I'm supposed to be? Or, you know what, I'm a little bit embarrassed about the fact that I am in the position that I'm in. And I don't look at it that way. I
Yep.
think a lot of the reasons why we have the vehicles that we have related to retirement is because there's a whole segment of people that are benefiting off them other than us. Meaning, the system is not designed for us to win.
Right.
And so the thought process is, okay, now that we understand that, now that we know it, what are those vehicles available to us that can help us win? So it's not that,
So,
we're starting late. It's not that you've done anything wrong. It's not that you made a bad decision. It is simply knowledge. It's education. It's now that I know what I know, what are those things that I can do different?
you're responsible to do something different, right?
Right.
Yeah. Benita's had some really great comments in here. She was saying that, this stuff is scary to learn, but it feels good to know to be in a space like this among friends, and it feels safer to be able to learn in this way. And
Along
yeah,
those lines, here's what I, again, I know, I know what I know. This is not a subject that people who look like me have in our households. This is not your average African American Black household are not having these types of discussions at all. It is just it's taboo. It's almost like it's a rite of passage, right? I figured it out. You should figure it out too.
right.
Or it's I'm going to do exactly what was done. Or the only time things change is when we go, I will do whatever I need to do to not end up like my parents. Or, so it's almost adversarial versus a discussion on how we can do this together. So what I appreciate about this couple that I was speaking to and their father-in-law is it was a collective. Now, it wouldn't have been a collective had their father-in-law not been the financial advisor. So I understand there's a reason why, but I love the fact that I had the entire family sitting on the couch and there was an open discussion and honest discussion about the pitfalls and the challenges and why things are the way that they are. And I think that's hopefully what this vehicle is doing as well.
Yeah. And I do think so. For those who will tune in, and for those who will consume this type of content, their futures will look significantly different. But I want to just rewind for a second, because you got started. I don't have that sound. You got started kind of late, right? According to like most people, when you're suggested to get started on
Right.
retirement planning, right?
Right.
So technically we were late to the party, but it doesn't matter because we're golden. Like this system works. And I think the difference here is when you're asking who benefits, I think the dopest answer is to say it doesn't matter if we benefit or not, so we don't have to charge for this information. We are not out here selling courses and I wanted to mention this tonight because it is difficult to get people to show up. But what's crazy is that there are people out there selling this information, essentially, not with this particular vehicle, but this type of information, $10,000 just to be able to get inside their course and get the insider secrets because it's gate kept. And that's terrible to think that not only would somebody value this information more if they paid for it, right?
Right. Well, and there's all sorts of studies on why, right? But to me, this I go back to this feels more purposeful than it is anything else. I think this is what we're supposed to be doing, and so that's the reason why I do it. But I think in addition, it's that small piece. It's usually just a small little switch that it takes for it to click for someone, and then all of a sudden, they take off and things start to change. And I think it's hopefully what this is doing is just adding that little spark. Because here's what I would ask of the people watching: this should prompt more questions. So it's not whatever it is I'm showing on this vibe board is the answer. It should prompt the question of, well, I wonder how my situation might be impacted if, or I would love for someone to ask me, where does this 988,000 come from? Like, why is it that there's this what seems to be this huge dollar amount of this income being made out of this vehicle, and I can't get that same amount out of my 401k? Why is that? Because I want to dig into some of those answers and peel back some of those layers, because This is not difficult. It's just that it's a vehicle that you may not have heard of before.
Okay, Gabe says something here.
Yes, yes, yes.
I hold on, I gotta scroll down. There's so many comments that we missed over here because we're just chatting away, but because we just want everyone to know all the things. It says I will definitely check out more of these shows, especially when you were talking about retirement planning. Gabe, we are always talking about retirement planning. The only difference is that we are actually not talking about retirement planning, meaning when you become a certain age. We talk about how to put a strategy together that you can leverage today,
Right,
not at some point in the future when you
right.
become a certain age or when you're after it bakes in the oven for however long. We're talking about how you can not only strategize to get started with a plan today, but you can strategize with the money that you have, with the situation that you have. This isn't a, well, when I get out of debt, then maybe I'll start retirement planning. We will show you how to use debt as a weapon against your retirement plan
And Gabi,
and create financial freedom.
I appreciate that because I try very hard to even not use the word retirement because in retirement, because especially when you're talking to someone 24, 25, 32, 33, it is,
Right.
I say this all the time, it is
It's
borderline
boring.
disrespectful to tell a 24-year-old that he has to wait 40 years before he can take advantage of this opportunity.
And
Like
why
that,
would he care today?
exactly. And so I kind of focus more on not retirement. Focus more on income because really it's about income, being able to put a
Quit your
vehicle in
job.
place, just put a vehicle in place that will allow you to generate income. It doesn't matter when you need the income, it is generating it. So if you have some circumstance in 3 years, you have income available to you to be able to access to take care of that situation.
That's
If
right.
you allow this vehicle to compound over time and build, because it's an asset, build as an asset for you, and you wait till 65 to start taking that income, that's awesome. But it's been there the whole time. It's
Right.
been there available to you tax free, penalty free, and regardless of your age. And I think that's the piece that, yeah, I hear you, Gabe, because this is not about necessarily just retirement planning. It's about income, man.
Yeah. And this is, for me, the exciting part about this. We help people quit their jobs. My whole goal is that my beautiful world is if I could create it and how I can contribute towards creating that is that people aren't having to live work until they are in their elder years, like the Domino's pizza lady. This is ridiculous. When we have systems in place, we have systems and strategies that she could have been leveraging this whole time had she known about them,
Right.
right? Had she known about them. And that's, you say all the time, we don't know what we don't know. And I think some people have decided we don't need to know. That seems hard. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't want to know. But if you could, for just 1 second, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart, if you could, for just one moment, allow someone to hand you the keys to your solution, hand you the keys to working smarter, not harder, hand you the keys to feeling financially secure, imagine your confidence. You'd sleep better. You'd know everything's going to be okay. Imagine knowing that when you wanted to take your kids to Disneyland, you can leverage this to be able to do that. If you want ready to buy a house, you can leverage this if it's in place. You have leverage. You have a sense of power that you thought only the rich could have. You thought you had to have this amount in a bank account. You thought that it had to be done and structured in a completely different way. And so most people give up. They don't even put it as an option for themselves. They don't say, I can belong to the middle class. I can belong to the upper middle class. I can be affluent. They don't assign those things to themselves because they've already decided
Right.
that these things aren't possible for them because they have not seen it happen for anyone like them before. We are here to change that.
So to kind of button up this example real quick, what I would our conversation also took another shift from there because I was asked about, well, if 401ks are broken and IRAs are broken, what are my feelings on 529 plans? Because again, this couple has two small children. And
Oh,
I love talking about children's MPI plans, maximum premium indexing plans, children's secure compound interest accounts, because these are absolutely amazing. And so they have small children, and I didn't even know their ages. I didn't know what they were wanting to contribute. I just said, "Hey, let me show you something." And so I'll show
Sure.
it to you as well.
Okay.
It's as simple as this. Let's say you've got a newborn and you're thinking about doing a Gerber policy or a 529, so that a 529 plan, so that when they hit age 17, 18, and they end up going to college, they've got a vehicle there that they can use. Well, this is no different. And I'll show you what $100 a month would do inside of a child's plan. So let's say you've got a child who's 1 year old and you want to put away $1,000 a month. And here, I'll just use till age 55. So $100 a month till age 55. And I'm not saying that you are contributing till their age of 55. I'm just showing you what $100 a month would do.
Just $100 a month.
$100 a month for your 1 year old will have them retired with $125,000 in tax-free income by the age of 55.
Put
Now,
in there. Hold on.
hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, but what does this look like around that college age? Because again, a 529 plan can only be used for college, so it's usually designed for college. So 1 year old till age, let's call it 24 or 25, when most people are exiting college. Now, that $4,884 isn't a lot. However, that $100 a month, that $28,000 asset has become a $60,000 asset. What bills could be paid with a $60,000 asset?
That's it. Oh, can I answer? That's a down
Yes.
payment on a house.
That's a lot of things. That what it is it's putting you on a trajectory for financial security, right?
Yeah. Oh, that could pay college tuition for sure.
Absolutely. And who, I don't know, at least I don't know any of anyone like this, but who graduated from college being handed off an asset worth about $60,000 for them to be able to use and grow and to be able to use as income for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty awesome.
Most people leave college with $60,000 in debt.
Right. And so what's happening here is this is how you achieve a $60,000 asset. And again, it's a machine. And I got criticism from I think a guy on TikTok saying I kind of make these this kind of fundamental and almost rudimentary in how I speak. But I do mean it when I say this is a machine. This is a machine that if you put $100 in it, you give it the right amount of time, and you structure it properly, it produces a vehicle worth $60,000 within 25, 24 years. And so if this machine is producing compound interest like that, why would you ever turn it off? So why would you stop it at this point, right? Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. First and foremost, I like the fact that you can speak about this in elementary type of terms. I appreciate that this is not complicated to understand,
It's really
and
not.
that you don't have to become an expert to get it. Nobody. You don't have to become an expert to understand that this is the answer. You don't have to become an expert to share it with somebody else, really, truly. But we have a lot of free resources, and I just want to mention that selfdirected.info. That is, hold on, I got like a banner thing I could put up. Hold on. I hate this part when I have to like really look and see things. Okay. Oh yeah. Here it is. Okay. So you could go to selfdirected.info to learn more and get those free resources. So that's one. But honestly, I don't think that this should be hard. I think that this should start in elementary school. You should already understand that by the time you graduate college, that the goal is not the career. The career is about the goal. And the goal is so that you can work the least amount of time to have income so that you can enjoy life. That is the whole freaking point. You cannot go working your ass off until you're 70 years old. What is it, 72 now?
73, actually.
73 years old is when they're saying finally you can stop working, when a lot of people don't even make it that far.
Well, and 73 is when you have to start taking required minimum distributions. So that's not technically when you have to, whatever. But I follow what you're saying.
Yeah,
It's still
whatever. She was
70 plus years
70.
old.
delivering pizzas because this
Right.
is a super common thing. And a lot of people do. They say, well, I think my body can only take working for till this certain point. And at that point, if you can't trade your time, your mind for money anymore, and that means your income's going to stop, this should not be an option for us. This shouldn't be an option. We should be talking about this in kindergarten. We should be able to understand and recognize what those systems are. Financial literacy is just completely missed on us. And doesn't it make sense? Because we do things that put ourselves, we get in poor health, right? Making decisions in this same type of way, which feeds an industry that is completely outrageously overcharged and no one can afford it regardless. But it's just creating this cycle that it does not serve any of us. So
Right.
we get self-directed. That means in all of the things that we're doing, we are asking ourselves, will this make the boat go faster? Will this make me able to quit my job faster? Will this help me and help my kids and help us achieve the goals so that we can create generational wealth? So my kids are starting off with the example that we just showed you. They are starting off with a bang.
Right.
They are,
$60,000 asset that you're
that's
able to
right.
leverage and do whatever it is you want to do.
I think his kids, they're like, just put in something like 7 years old and put in $150 until they're 18. You do that for
Yeah.
me?
Let's do it.
Oh, now I gotta find the thing again. Hold on. Okay.
Said 7 years old, right?
Yep.
Here I go to 21.
We'll do this just for you, Gabe. And anybody else watching, if you want to see what those are, just put it in the chat. This is the age, this is the amount, and this
So
is the year.
by age 21, so over that period of time, would have contributed about 25,000 in total. But by age 20, I think I did 21. By age 21, you'd have a $40,000 asset. So in essence, you'd be passing on a $40,000 asset to your 21-year-old. But on top of that, if God forbid if something were to happen, it's also a death benefit of around 730. And we definitely don't want to, not trying to wish any of that on anyone, but there's some the moral of the story is this is an asset, a living, breathing asset that all your child would have to do is continue that $150 a month once you pass it on, if you decided to pass it on, because this is an asset that you own. So if you wanted, you could reap the incomes coming from it. But all your child would have to do is continue making that $150 a month payment. And then as the age increases, so by age 35, what does that $150 payment look like? Well, it looks like an asset worth about 131,000. When you talk about getting your first home or buying a vehicle, now instead of you having to go to a bank to borrow money for that vehicle, you have a living, breathing asset that you're able to leverage on your own.
Well, hold on. Go back to when they were 18 because I'm trying to make a point here. $150 per month is nothing. That is less than what people pay in child support, right? Let's
Right.
just be real. There's a lot of people paying child support out there and then they don't end up with any assets afterwards. They're just it just is what it is. But let's just pretend for a second that even for families that are structured in this, oh, I think you're frozen again.
I am.
Okay, well, while you fix that, I'm going to keep talking about
Go for it.
the point I'm trying to make. Okay, so you have $150, whether it's 100, $150. I like that it's frozen on this particular screen because the example that he was just showing was how much they would have at age 18. That is also their car. So now instead of them having to go pay the interest to a bank to be able to get their first vehicle, they can finance it themselves because they are their own bank. That makes sense? Not only that, but let's say something happens with to you. If you're the owner of this policy, you also can leverage this same policy and you also can become your own bank. How much of a game changer would that be for parents, especially parents who are struggling to be able to say that this is non-negotiable because the older these kids get, the more expensive they're going to get. Now, here's the difference. We have 22, 22, 20, almost 18. and they all needed vehicles. That's a good time, right? Not, I should have a buzzer. I don't have a buzzer. That's a good time to think about how are we going to help them get vehicles. So the first car we bought, and we were out there like, okay, well, how much can we spend? Because we were spending money in a different way. We were thinking about money in a different way. What was that, 6, 7, 8 years ago?
Easily.
8 years ago? And but they needed to be driving themselves, right? Like that has to happen. At some point, they're going to become dependent. Oh, well, isn't it nice that we could go out and buy our kid a car? Do you think they were excited about that car? They weren't. We had to use the resources that we had at the time, right? I mean, that's understandable for anybody. Does that mean that in today's market, though, that could mean that that same car that we purchased back then is now would cost 3 times the amount. So a car that we spent $2,000 on 8 years ago would now, to this very day, be worth $8,000.
Or cost 8,000.
Cost, well, yeah, cost $8,000. So the point is, though, that you have to, we're only going up from here. You have to be able to have resources, or your options are so limited. You end up buying what you think you can afford, and then you have to repair it. And now you've put $9,000 into a what you think was a $4,000 deal, right? But you've continued to put maintenance into this vehicle, and you could have just bought a 10, 12, $15,000 version of that car, and or a better car anyway, and not and skipped over all of that. So that's what I'm saying is this gives you better options. When you have leverage, that's everything that we talk about. Every single thing we discuss, every live stream that we have is talking about where is your leverage, how to build it, how to grow it, and how to use it. That is what getting self-directed is.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're going to show to 150 starting at 7, right?
Right. So 7 years old, $150 till age 21. And it equates to about a $40,000 asset by the age of 21, with a initial death benefit of about 170,000. And God forbid if something were to happen at that age, we're talking about significantly more than that, somewhere around 731,000. And again, the key here for me is not just what you see today. Again, at age 21, that's a $40,000 asset that's living, breathing, accessible. If you need a dollar amount, if you need an emergency fund, if you needed to get into your first apartment, if you needed to put a down payment on a home, it's all available to you. But all they would have to do is to continue this $150 a month contribution for it to turn into something a bit more spectacular, as in being able to retire early. Again, let's say there was no
I can't see. What did you do?
so what I did was I changed the age to 55.
Okay.
All I'm saying is if they were to continue that $150 a month payment, now we're talking about an asset worth $98,000 tax free for life. I'm not talking about an IRA. I'm not talking about a 401k or 403b. I have no idea what job they have or what other vehicles they have as it relates to retirement. This was a vehicle set up by their parent when they were one, contributing $150 a month, that all they had to do was continue that payment throughout, and it put them in a place to where they never have to worry about money again.
Or when they're young, right?
Right,
When did
absolutely.
you start this one? 7, right?
7 years old.
Yeah, exactly. So, but also inside of this value is their down payment for their house. This is their wedding, their honeymoon, whatever those things were that they wanted to be able to go and do. This is all of that,
And notice, we haven't even touched on generational wealth.
right?
God forbid if something were to happen, what are they leaving to their beneficiaries? What are they leaving to the generations coming behind them? Matter of fact, you rolled this into a trust. Now we're talking about how income is distributed for the next 500 years. Like, there's so many more layers to this, all off someone making the decision to put away $150 a month early to create an asset that's living and breathing that continues to compound.
And I
And
wish
that
we
is being self-directed.
And I wish we would have known this when they were small. I wish we would have had these strategies in place, but you can't go back. And that's when we're showing these examples, all I can think of is all of the time that we have missed out on because we just didn't know. We can't go back, but neither can anybody else. You can't go back. So the moment that you learn, this is what this can do for you, you have to start now
It's called
because
pay
you can't
yourself
go
first for a
back.
reason.
That's right.
Pay
And
yourself
saying,
first, starting today.
I will start when, that's not that's not the move. I think this was like the last leg of the strategy though, right? We have five different strategies that you have, I say we, you have connected together. And this one was the last one because of where it came in the process and how we learned about it. But this one, if we always talk about if we could go back and start over and how we structured our machine, we would
This would be
put this
first.
first.
That's
Yeah.
right. And then again, it goes back to paying yourself first. Putting your money in a vehicle, not your savings account, using this as your savings account, putting your money in a vehicle right now, starting today, secure because it's a secure vehicle that's not subject to the stock market or what's again, who's president or whatever the case may be, and you get your money compounding. And as your money starts to compounding, what happens in year 3 is there's additional leverage that kicks in, the use of other people's money, and so this secure compound interest producing vehicle becomes the true asset that allows you to produce income at any point. Doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter whether it's retirement dollars or not. It is income that you're able to access tax free for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And we hope that everybody understands that this is available, but it's not available for everyone for just learning about it. It's not available to you if you're just watching videos about it. It's only available to those who put it into action, right? That's it. That's it. So we hope that these live streams will help you take these strategies to understand how you can supercharge your MPI as a strategy using the other strategies, how you can leverage, of course, like I said, where your leverage is, all of that is so significant because that's your power. That's your peace.
Let's take it
That's
home,
just it.
sweetheart.
All right. Well, was there anything else that we wanted to share? I wanted to just first recognize, thank you so much for hanging out with us, Benita and Yvette and Gabe. They're on LinkedIn. They've been super duper active. I'm going to post
Are there
tomorrow.
any other questions that weren't
There,
addressed?
yeah, I was going through just to make sure in the
Yeah,
chat because
because
they,
I can't see them. So if there
yeah,
are, I will absolutely. We can take that time right now to address those. I don't have a problem with that at all.
yeah, just comments really. These are
Okay.
great points and love the idea of being able to leverage these resources to do something that you can really enjoy. Benita says, I do not want to deliver pizzas. Not going to be me. Get somebody else to do it. Then they were just kind of talking about financial education, how it should be taught in schools, and that we're all unprepared. Our children are unprepared. And when they start young adulthood and they start life with debt, and that's kind of like the what were you saying? The rite of passage is that
Right.
you are in debt. Welcome to adulthood. Now you've made it. So tell us how to MPI in part 3.
Not a problem.
Is there going to be a part 3? Well, next week will essentially be the part 3. So what we're going to do, anytime that you want to learn how to MPI, just go to selfdirected.info because all of that information is there. There's a video series. There are 2 free books that you can also get your hands on. And everybody ends up poor. I don't have mine in within grasp
I don't either.
to show it. But there's also the Lost Science of Compound Interest.
Yes, that's correct.
And go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to
No, you go
say,
ahead.
and we can absolutely next week kind of dive into um, how, like, yeah, I've been talking about maximum premium indexing, and yeah, I've been showing what that looks at like in the calculator, but I haven't been very specific as to how the money grows inside of this. We can absolutely dig into that. I know you also wanted to kind of dig into some of the origins of the IRA and 401k. So maybe Tuesday origins of IRA and 401k, which kind of leads into the evolution of what is now the new pension, which is maximum premium indexing. So we can address all of that next week.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That would flow really good too. So In the meantime, though, Benita, if you want to learn more, you don't have to wait till next week. You can still tune in to learn because there's things, obviously that we don't have in in the free resources section. They're just content or videos that we've put out or topics we're going to talk about. But you can learn all of this stuff. We really are like, please go. There's case studies and how other people have used this. Tons of stuff in there. And if there's something missing, you have a question, reach out. We are here to help and support you in your journey and learning more about the changes that you could make for your future. So, yes, history lessons. I know, right? Like, can we get some like I don't know. I was trying to think, could we turn it into murder mystery style? Like, make it thrilling.
None of this is sexy. It all takes time. It all takes commitment. This is not Bitcoin. It is not going to happen tomorrow. It does take dedication. It does take education. So I preach this. This is not sexy, and it's not meant to be.
Yeah, but you know what is sexy? This outro that we have.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you.
And it has all of the information in there to be able to learn more and kind of what next steps would be for somebody who's all fired up. Just watch this and they're like, hey, I don't want to stop. I want to go play with the calculator myself. All of that, you can do that. And all of that information is right here. So I'm Angelique.
And I'm Donnell.
And we thank you so much for tuning in. Until we still don't have an outro. It's like weird,
It
right?
is the outro. I told you we should sing it. Get self-directed. That's it. Just
Okay.
cut it. Boop.
Just boop, cut. Okay. We'll do
Love you
that
guys.
next time. Hold on for the outro. Thanks for joining, guys. Hey, before you go, we want to remind you that becoming fully self-directed means gaining complete control over your wealth, time, and freedom. It's not just an idea. It's a framework, a mindset, and the power to make informed decisions to secure your future. Being here means you're taking those steps, and we want to thank you for allowing us to guide you. We believe that we grow farther and faster when we grow together. So tune in next time and tell a friend to tell a friend. We've helped thousands of people just like you start their journey to financial freedom. And if they can do it, you can too. And if you're ready to learn more, we got you. Get a head start by grabbing these 2 free books. But how do they get them, Donnell?
Head over to my website where you'll have access to a few things. A ton of free resources, case studies, and over 100 5-star reviews from people just like you. And in 15 minutes, we can explore what's possible for you. So don't wait.
Invest in what you want, when you want.
But first, let us help you
Get self-directed.